What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing news. It appears Golden Boy Promotions and Saul Canelo Alvarez are looking to land a fight with none other than Floyd Mayweather Jr. this December. My personal opinion, I highly doubt that. I don't see them making that fight. It's the end of September. And the biggest reason is, as many of you know, Mayweather did a 90-day jail stint. I think he got out a little bit early on good behavior. But since his release, he's been fairly quiet. He's been off the grid, below the radar. No one's really heard from him. He hasn't done many interviews, and that's rare coming from a Mayweather who's usually very vocal in the sport, outspoken, opinionated, and he usually says what's on his mind. Even recent attempts to jog up a Pacquiao fight or Pacquiao talks, I haven't really even heard a Twitter response from Mayweather. So as far as him getting in the ring by December, against Canelo, I just highly doubt it. Furthermore, now before I get into this, I just have to make a statement. I'm a boxing fan, so I'm going to give it to you guys as I see it, and I'm going to be truthful. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm going to be 100% honest in my opinions. So I know you guys tend to pick fighters, and some of you get mad, but it doesn't matter to me. This is my honest opinion. Everything that I have opinion-wise in boxing can be supported. So whether it's right or wrong, this is my opinions, and take it for what it is. Canelo Alvarez. I feel he shows great technique, power, speed, but, and there's a huge but, the level of opposition in which he's had has not been the greatest. And I don't care what anyone says, I feel Golden Boy Promotions has brought him up incredibly slow at a snail's pace. So it's really hard to gauge how good he is or where he's at skill-wise when he's fighting people that are destined to lose. Before the opening bell rings, they've pretty much already lost the fight. It's already a huge uphill battle for them to beat this guy. And I don't consider that pound for pound, or it's not as incredible. If you're fighting top guys, then, you know what I mean, that's a feat. That's something to be proud about. But with Canelo Alvarez, I feel like it's a lot of clever matchmaking, really. He's fighting out of prime guys like Shane Mosley, who was 40, who lost 2 fights and then fought Canelo Alvarez 2 fights back to back. Shane Mosley also had a draw against Mora. So in recent memory, he hasn't looked great. The last time Shane Mosley looked good was against Margarito. And if you guys do the research, let me know what year that was. I know what year it was, but I want you guys to do the research and let me know. And that's how long ago Shane Mosley looked good in the boxing ring. Kermit Cintron, he lost 2 out of 3 fights before fighting Canelo Alvarez. So it's not the same Kermit Cintron that had a competitive fight with Sergio Martinez. He's obviously fallen off, or not in his prime, whatever you want to call it. And then aside from that, just clever matchmaking. There's been opponents who, like I said, they're clearly overmatched. You know what Canelo's strengths are, so they know who to get him in the ring with in order for him to be able to showcase his skills. So if you put him in there against someone who normally fights out of 140 pounds, Josecito Lopez, yeah, he's going to dominate him, because Josecito Lopez went up to 147 for 1 fight, fought Victor Ortiz, had a shocking upset, and immediately after that, he fought Canelo. So basically, within a year, this guy is going up 2 weight classes. So, it would be really hard to keep Canelo off him if he's a smaller fighter that fights out of a 140-pound division, and you got someone who is powerful. Do you really expect his power to transition from 140 to 154? Not necessarily, unless Josecito Lopez was just known for being like a Randall Bailey or a Lucas Matisse, someone with just dynamite in their hands. A perfect example would be weight training, like weight training at the gym. If you are bench pressing, let's say you're hitting 185 pounds on the bench press, you do it for a week, you're not going to be able to go the very next week or the very next day or whatever the case is and hit 215 pounds. It doesn't work like that. When you weight train, it's a gradual process. You have to build up. You have to build the muscles up. So you have 185 pounds, then you add 5 pound plates or 10 pound plates, and then you work your way up, and then you max out with a couple reps on your highest rep, build strength, and then you move up. But in Josecito's case, everything was expedited. He had a quick decision to make to fight Victor Ortiz because Andre Berto and Victor Ortiz fight got canceled, so he was selected as a last-minute opponent. That's his biggest payday ever. That's a chance and an opportunity for him. So he went up in weight, and I don't blame him. I mean, people don't realize it's a business, and these fighters have families and households and mortgages and all kinds of stuff that they have to take care of like anybody else, and they have to do what's best for them and their families. So obviously he's going to go up to fight Victor Ortiz. He did have an upset in that fight. And then you go up and fight Canelo, and you go up another weight class. So it's just like, you know what I mean? How many upsets is this guy really going to have, like, back to back? You know what I'm saying? Just the probability is very low, especially when he's going up two weight classes. Ricky Hatton's brother, Matthew Hatton, he fought Canelo. And Ricky Hatton's brother's a welterweight. So Canelo already has a size advantage in that fight as well. So my point being, I feel Golden Boy, and I'm not even mad at Canelo. I enjoy his fights. He's exciting, and I feel he has a lot of potential, and he has a potential to be a pound-for-pound dominant fighter. But I don't know how good he is now at age 22 based on Golden Boy Promotions and who they're selecting for opponents. You know what I mean? They're picking people who he's destined to beat, people who didn't really stand much of a chance. Like I said, it's already an uphill battle for them to get the fight or for them to win the fight before the fight even starts. And then you look at other fights, Mike Alvarado versus Brandon Rios. Even though Brandon Rios is going up one weight class, he's a bigger dude who had trouble making weight. So if you look at that fight, that's a close fight to call. That's like a 50-50. I mean, you can't convincingly argue that either one will win. I mean, it could go either way. It's a very competitive fight. I have my opinion on who will win, but I wouldn't be shocked if that person lost. You know what I mean? You have people like Andre Ward and Chad Dawson fighting. Chad Dawson was a big guy. No one knew he would look like a zombie in the ring with Andre Ward, and Andre Ward is a pound-for-pound top fighter. So that was a good fight in my opinion. He's fighting the bigger guy with a reach and height advantage and an incredible jab. And luckily, Andre Ward is skilled enough, and he finds a way to win. And he took the jab away from Chad Dawson, and the rest is history. But my point being, there's a lot of great fights being made out there, and they're a lot harder to pick the winner. Even Chavez Jr. versus Sergio Martinez. I picked Sergio Martinez and I was right, but if Chavez Jr. were to win that fight, I wouldn't be incredibly shocked just because Chavez Jr. is a much bigger fighter who gains like 20-25 pounds in his rehydration process. It looks like he has a chin and can take a punch, and he's a pressure fighter, and he works the body. And Sergio Martinez was getting older, so again, I picked Sergio. I had my reasons for picking Sergio, but if Chavez Jr. beat him, it wouldn't be a Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson shocking upset to me. I'd be like, oh, okay, the younger, stronger fighter won. The upcoming fight with Nonito and his opponent, I don't want to slaughter his name, so I'll just say the Japanese opponent that he's fighting next. Close fight. They both have great records. I haven't seen much of his Japanese opponent, but from what I have seen, it looks like he's a good fighter. So it looks like a great matchup. And when I think of Canelo, a lot of his matchups aren't like that. They're not like Antonio DeMarco versus Adrian Broner, where it's a 50-50, where either fighter really could pull it off. It's really a different ratio for most Canelo fights that I've seen. Like Josecito's chance of winning against Canelo based on the facts, based on what Josecito would have to overcome, is like more like 80-20. You know what I mean? So that's my whole point with Canelo. And like I said, I'm not blaming Canelo. I know it's a business, and I really think it's Golden Boy. That's their cash cow. He has a huge fan base in Mexico, so I feel they're bringing him up slowly. He didn't have an amateur background, so they're just treading lightly and being cautious. But there's a thing called being overly cautious, and that's where the fans come into play, where you're kind of playing the fans for fools. And if this guy keeps fighting people who are no match for him, then people are going to start to lose interest, in my opinion. So, and that's not just with Canelo, that's with anybody, that's with any fighter. Another up and coming fighter, Gary Russell Jr., if he doesn't start fighting better opponents, people are going to be like, okay, he's fighting bums. It doesn't matter if he's knocking them out and his speed looks lightning fast, because he's fighting nothing but bums. And it's funny how contradictory a lot of boxing fans are. Here you have Canelo, who turned pro at age 15, and he's been fighting since, fighting grown men. He has power. He has over 40 fights. And some people are content with him moving through the ranks slow. But with Adrian Broner, because he has a loud mouth, he's flashy, and a lot of people don't like him, and he has an amateur background, for those reasons, a lot of people that I've seen on the boxing comments, they want to say stuff like, Adrian Broner is fighting bums, he's fighting scrubs, he needs to fight real level opposition, yada, yada, yada. So, as fans, you guys need to learn to be a lot more objective and be more consistent. You can't have Canelo, who's been pro since 15, and there's a thing in my book, it's called working and learning on the job. And that's what Canelo, if he didn't have an amateur background, that's just his career path. But he's had over 40 fights, so at this point, I feel he should be fighting higher opposition. So for those people who are saying Adrian Broner needs to fight higher opposition, same goes with Canelo and Gary Russell Jr. Everybody, I mean, just keep it equal. I'm all about equality. All of those fighters need to start fighting higher opposition if they want to be considered the future of boxing or future pound for pound champions. We need to see if Adrian Broner can take a hard shot to the chin. We need to see what Canelo does and what adjustments he's able to make against someone who's faster than him, or someone who's bigger than him, or someone who has a reach advantage, or a technician. You know what I mean? These are the fights we need to see. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I would like to see Canelo fight someone in his division, to be honest. There's Austin Trout, there's Cotto. I know they're fighting each other now, but before they made the fight, I mean, he could have fought them instead of Josecito. You got Vanez, you got Lara. I think Molina would even give him problems, because Molina has the capability of making fighters look bad. He made James Kirkland look bad. He has an awkward style. And I want to see how Canelo looks against someone with an awkward style. You know what I mean? Someone who has that Molina, Richard Abril type awkwardness. I want to see what adjustments he makes. I want to see if he can take a flush shot or a hard body shot. I mean, these are the things we need to see if he's being marketed as the pound for pound best. So that's my 2 cents. Next topic. Andre Berto is looking to make his comeback in the ring on November. So HBO is trying to put together some kind of fight card where he can make his comeback. And this is rather shocking. They are talking about having Andre Berto move up from 147 to 154 to fight none other than Cornelius Canine Bundrage. I don't know, I just had to get my Michael Buffer on. But anyway, they're talking about having Andre Berto for his comeback fight Canine Bundrage. In my opinion, I'd be interested in seeing that fight. We all know Andre Berto. I mean, the last time we seen him, he has speed, he has the power. He's pretty big for a welterweight, so I think he could pack on the extra size fairly well. And he could have ring rust. We never know. He hasn't fought since September of 2011, so we don't know where he's at. And he would have to move up in weight to fight Canine Bundrage, so it could be a good fight. Canine, I haven't seen too many of his fights. I've seen both of the Corey Spinks fights and a few others. Canine, he's tough. He has an awkward style, and somehow, some way, he finds a way to win. I also feel he's very sloppy and just rugged, and kind of uncoordinated. But like I said, he's tough and he finds a way to win. So I would definitely watch an Andre Berto versus K9 Bundrage just to see what it looks like, just to see what Andre Berto looks like at 154 pounds. And again, K9 Bundrage, he's calling out Canelo. He's saying he wants bigger fights. He's, I think, 39 years old right now. So he doesn't have much time left in the game. So he could really come out and try to make a statement. And he's coming off a win. So it could be interesting. So I wouldn't mind seeing Andre Berto versus K9 Bundrage. And then they're saying if Andre Berto beats K9 Bundrage at 154 and Berto decides to stay at 154 and campaign at 154, they're talking about making a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez. So, I mean, things could get interesting if that's the case. If Berto looks good and, like, let's say he stopped Bundrage at 154, that's a new weight division for him to conquer. And Berto versus Canelo, it could be interesting. They're both young, they both have speed, and they both have power. I mean, I don't know how Berto's power will transition at a higher weight, but I mean, it looks like he has pop in his current division, and he looks like a muscular dude. Like I don't know, like he could have strength. So I would be interested in that. I would even watch the Canelo versus Andre Berto fight. And in my opinion, I think Andre Berto is more of a competitive fight than Josecito, based on the fact that Josecito is a 140 pounder. At least Berto was fighting at 147, and he's a strong and fast dude. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a more realistic fight where it could be where Berto's not as much of an underdog, especially if he can beat K9 Bundrage. So interesting things in boxing. If Andre Berto doesn't decide to stay at 154 or fight K9 Bundrage, I think there's other great fights for him. At 147, he could fight Maidana. He could fight the winner of Randall Bailey and Devin Alexander. Maidana looked real good in his last fight. He's been working on his jab and doing a lot of things different with Robert Garcia's coaching. So things could get interesting in boxing. Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather. What do you guys think? Andre Berto versus Canelo. What do you guys think? K9 versus Berto. What do you guys think? Let me know something. Subscribe, comment, and until next video, holla.